Hey, tonight we are going to continue our series called Catching Fields. And tonight I want to start out with another fun Kenton story for you to kind of dive into our topic a little bit. So, this story is about how Kelsey and I, my wife, we got engaged. And so, for me, we've been dating for a while in college, and a little over a year, I believe it was, about a year and a half. And some of you guys don't see this, some of you guys see it. I'm actually, when I want to be, an extremely, almost over-the-top detail human. Sometimes I look big picture, and then all of a sudden, I focus in on details. This is one of the examples where I focused on every detail. And so, a proposal is a big deal, right? An engagement is a big deal. You only do it once, usually. You should. You hope so. You only do it once. And so, I spent days and weeks researching where, when, how, all of the things that it came to a proposal. I figured out location, travel plans, what to do before, what to do after, how to make sure that she didn't suspect any detail coming up and didn't think it was coming, right? And then, I also wanted to even go into Google Earth, and I calculated where will the sun be, what angle will the sun be at the time that I propose, so that pictures will turn out the best for a golden hour color, as opposed to doing it earlier or after. So we knew where the photography needed to be for the stuff, all of the things. I had it down to I had a 10-minute window of perfection, and outside of that, I was into, right? That was the detail that I had lined every single thing up. So the plan was we would drive up to New York City, and we would visit one of my best friends, Andrew, who was interning in a company out there as a videographer and photographer. And so he was going to give us, the local New York City tour of, here are all the things, here's the things that everyone knows happen. Here are the things that I walk past every day. Here's where I met so-and-so, and he walked through. And so we spent time walking around Times Square, visiting stores, eating lunch, just kind of having fun. Kelsey thought we had, just cruising through, right? And I'm checking my watch, and all right, we've got 10 more minutes until we need to move on from this place, and then we'll get here. And I was calculating it all. And so finally and he's maybe taking a picture here or there, hey, I have a nice camera with me. You guys want a picture here or whatever. Trying to make it all normal, right? And so we ended up heading to Central Park so we could walk around the park. That was the location where I planned to propose. And so we were right on time, and we stopped by a few unique spots and visited a few things. And at this point, I'm starting to get nervous, right? I know that now that I'm in the park, I'm now in the place where I'm going to propose. I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen. Every probably 30 seconds, I'm like, it's still there. I have the ring. Okay, I haven't lost it. It hasn't disappeared. And then 30 seconds later, it's still there. It's still there, right? Constantly panicking and making myself a little nervous. And so we finally get to the spot that I planned to propose within 5 minutes of the time that I planned to get there. I was really excited. We're on time. If you have been to Central Park, it's the Bethesda Bridge. I forgot to give you pictures again. And it's this really nice bridge with a really nice fountain in front of it. It's brickwork and everything. It's really pretty. And so he, playing tour guide, Andrew, says, hey, this is one of those beautiful sites in all of Central Park. People get married here often. People get engaged here often. He's telling the story, right? And he's like, it's so picturesque for couples. I'm like, yeah, it is. We have this plan. He knows the plan. And so I'm really excited. And all of a sudden, Kelsey says, what? Why? I would hate to get engaged here. And I was like, what? Why? And she goes, there's so many people, it's too public. And I'm literally standing there with my hand on the ring. Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, it's really public. Yeah, that's fine. We wouldn't have done that anyway. And so my heart just sinks. I'm well, now all of my plans are gone. And so we proceed to wander Central Park for an hour and a half, as I am trying to find a not public place in Central Park which is not easy, that I can propose now and find it still close to picturesque, right? We walk, and Andrew's not mad at me, because he's like, how about this beautiful spot? How about this spot? And we just go and go, and finally, we're heading out of Central Park, because Kelsey's hey, my feet are tired, can we move on from this place? And so finally we get to a gazebo, and she goes, hey, that gazebo up there is really pretty. Can we go get a picture? Yes, we can. And so we go up to the gazebo, we get a picture, and I propose for the picture, and it was nowhere near what I planned out to be. But it ended up working well. And this is one of those times where you can do really crazy things for love, right? When you start to think about what love means, you start to go further than you might normally do. So in this case, I planned out like crazy and ended up having to change everything. And then I walked and made that walk for an hour and a half until we find the spot, right? What I didn't think about, I'll show you a picture next week because I forgot to put it up. What I forgot to do was think about what I was wearing. I went back and looked at it earlier today, and I was wearing sneakers with bright green tread because that was kind of the trend back then. And I had cargo shorts on, and I had a t-shirt on, and that was it. So I had all the details planned, and I forgot about myself, right? But that's kind of something crazy that you can do when it comes to relationships and start to think through what do we do for love. Well, today in our series of Catching Feels, we're going to dive into the topic of what is love and how we often get love wrong. And so I want us to look at a biblical perspective of what love is first and understand that, and then we'll break down how we sometimes mess that up. And so first, I'm going to look at 1 John 4:7. If you're following along today, it's easy to follow here because we're going to jump through a little bit because it's more topical. 1 John 4:7-8 says, "Dear friends, let us love one another because love is from God. And everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. The one who does not love does not know God because God is love." So you might have heard this before, but I want you to think about it for a second. God himself does not have love. God himself is love. And so when we want to talk about what it means to have like a source of we often think like where does matter come from and where certain other things come from, but we don't often think about where do these concepts come from, right? God himself is the actual physical source, spiritual source of love itself. He doesn't just have something he can't run out. He is the overflowing well of love. And so what does it mean to love? Well, we need to figure out what does it mean for God to love and how do we replicate that. And so he defines, and we actually see Paul give a definition of that in 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. You've heard this one probably before. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It is not arrogant. Is not rude. Is not self-seeking. Is not irritable. And does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So I'm going to take like 60 seconds, like 30 seconds per person, to find just a friend next to you. Outside of these specific pieces, which one is the most difficult, or which one means the most to you? Like if you had to pick one that matters the most, just tell that friend, right? You don't have to tell me, but tell the person next to you. For sure. What are you saying? You're saying which one of these stands out as like the most difficult or one would be the most difficult? Alright, I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds. Alright. Does anybody, you don't have to, I said you don't have to, does anybody want to share which one stands out the most to you? Patience? Yeah. Well done, thank you. Yeah. Kind? Yeah. Well done. Anybody over here? Yeah. What was it? You speak up. Endures all things. I'm apparently deaf. Even go right or wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. And one more. Your hand is up. It's not arrogant. Yeah. There you go. Oh. It went over your shoulder. Kaylee, can you grab the token below you that just passed over your shoulder? These are a pretty difficult list, right? And I think one thing that stands out to me in this is love takes work, right? There's not just a feeling listed up here, but these are a bunch of things that are actually really difficult to do that you have to choose to do. I don't know about you, but probably the one that is most difficult for me is keeps no record of wrongs, right? I'm really, really fast to forgive a single incident, right? But then as soon as like something happens again and again, all of a sudden the forgiveness that I gave isn't as strong because now I'm going, oh, this is twice. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is 3 times, right? And then all of a sudden at some point, instead of actually working through forgiveness, my issue is that I'm like, what in the world? This is like 4th time. When I said I forgive each time. Did I? No, I kept the record of wrongs, right? That's one of the ones that I struggle with when it comes to love. It's tough. It's easy for me to remember bad. If it was a single incident and we move on and we're done, then sure, I'm forgiven, right? But then all of a sudden I realized that I struggled a little more than I thought. For some of us, it might be different. For some of you, patience is just the worst thing that you can have, and you are not patient with anybody, right? For others, maybe the idea of it's not self-seeking is not actually something you've processed through. Love is not about yourself, right? Love is about someone else. We're going to dive into that more. But whatever it is for you, we all see different things that we'll struggle with. And probably at every moment in life, one of these or all of these will be a struggle for us when it comes to love. So that's the first one. Jesus has a pretty tall word for us, and he is the only one that actually can perfectly love like this. So the other thing I think that stands out is when we think about love being not self-serving, we can also say that love is selfless, right? It's not about you. And it's kind of counter to the way that our culture has probably told you and taught you about love, right? Love is all about finding the one for you, finding the true one, right? Those things are all about finding your thing, your person that you can love, right? But really, it's all about choosing to love others, choosing to put love out to others, to share love. And so, part of the reason we get so confused is that love is such a difficult word, right? Love in the English language is one word, and love in Greek is 7 words, I believe it is many different words. They have love to define brotherly love. They have love to define like a marriage love, right? A friend love, a love of things. They have different words for each of those. And we say, I love my wife. And in the next word, I say, I love pizza. And in the next word, I say, I love my son, Carson. I love my wife far differently than I love pizza. Should be obvious, right? I love pizza differently than I love Carson. I love Carson differently than I love my wife, right? There are different versions of love. Carson is my son. There are different versions of love, and yet we get stuck because we have one word that means all of those things, right? The love of God for you is different than the love that I have for even you guys, right? It's a different word, and we get stuck in that. And I think sometimes it means that we misview what love means. And so, I think for us, we also will attribute actions, or we forget to attribute actions to love. We think it's just a feeling. It's just something that boils up in us, and we feel it. When in reality, I would argue that we might be like really, this is an old phrase, I don't think you still use it. You might be really in like with someone, right? You don't actually love them, you just really like them. But you haven't figured out what love means yet, right? It all depends, because we start to mix these things up, and I don't know if you know this or not, I was just talking to somebody this week, that when you start to get relationship feelings for somebody, your emotions, your actual chemicals inside your body react differently than they do when you don't have those feelings. And so you start to boil all these things up, your body starts to feel different, and sometimes you get like the love, right? And you convince yourself that all those feelings are love, when really they just might be a liking of somebody, or they make you feel special one day, but is it actually love? And so I'm challenging you with what does love look like and what does love mean. But first, I want to challenge us with what is the other word that we might be describing here. So we've talked about love, but the other word of love that we kind of mix up is the word lust, right? So love is one thing. Love is an action step, is intentional, it is something that is unique. And then lust is often something that we do. When you first hear that word, right? Your brain might first jump to the thing that most people kind of think of, and that is mostly explicit pictures or videos, right? That's the thing that people jump to. But it's not just that, okay? Lust is about certain things. as opposed to others. And so the first one is that lust is about things itself, right? True love is always directed towards a person, right? True love is always directed towards a person. When we love things, we actually are lusting for things, right? Whenever we lust over a person, you've changed that person from a human to an object, right? You've heard of the concept of objectifying someone. That's what it looks like to lust over somebody. And I think sometimes we picture this as just being a guy issue. But I'll challenge you that statistically, guys struggle with this about 80, 95% of the time. And girls statistically are 69 to 70%. Okay? Those are the statistics that are listed, right? So, I think we see it differently, but when's the last time you went up to somebody and were like, oh, look at this dude, he's so hot, right? That is a version of lust over somebody else. We're objectifying based on who they are and who they look like, not on the love that we have for the person, right? What about you? Lust is also a feeling. You get a feeling inside when you think about certain things. The Bible actually talks and uses the phrase fleshly desires. You can swap lust into that usually fairly easily. And it is basically our desire, anything outside of God, right? So we talked about last week, relationships are seeking for any relationship or a hopeless attempt to fill a void that is not God. So we limit love to just a feeling. We're really just kind of endangering ourselves to worry about lusting over. And the last one is the big one. Lust is always selfish. It's always about you. It's always about how you can gain something from someone else, right? Whether or not it is just simply the satisfaction of like enjoying what they look like, or it can be more of like how they provide for you in a way that you just need and you don't actually provide anything for them. It's always self-focused. So the easiest way to sum the two differences up, love is selfless, and lust is selfish. And so where is the purpose behind these things? And I think that statement can be the big dramatic difference between the two. And yet, I think we often get them mixed up. It's not just easy to draw a line where they don't say, this is one, this is the other, and we can easily define them. I think we get confused sometimes. And so, Paul actually challenges us, well, what are the effects of lust in our life? What does it actually do? And so Ephesians 4:18-20 says this. They are darkened in their understanding, excluded from the life of God, because of the ignorance that is in them, and because of the hardness of their hearts. They become callous and gave themselves over to promiscuity, for the practice of every kind of impurity, with the desire for more and more. But that is not how you came to Christ. That's a little bit wordy, kind of chunky, so I actually want us to read the NLT version. Versions of the Bible are just different English translations of the exact same Greek words, just helping us understand what they mean. So it says this, in their minds are full of darkness. They wander far from the life God gives because they have closed their minds and hardened their hearts against Him. They have no sense of shame. They live for lustful pleasures, eagerly practicing every kind of impurity. But that isn't what you learned about Christ. This is a pretty tough challenge. Like, those words are not soft words. He challenges and says, here's how it affects your life. It darkens our understanding. It fills our mind with darkness and clouds our vision of God. Number one. Number two, we lose sensitivity to things, right? You've probably heard the phrase desensitization. Culture around you right now has put so much in front of you that the standards of God have been lowered so far that things that are wrong are seen as normal for you, right? It's desensitization. Oftentimes that's talked about all the time. Fellas, you hear this over and over again about the violence of video games and how it desensitizes you. You hear that conversation. When it comes to the concept of sex and relationship, it's in every TV show that you could possibly watch, right? And so slowly, what once was a high standard just starts to come down and down and down until it is just normal. And yet, normal doesn't work for the Christian life. And so that's number two. We lose sensitivity to it. And it always leaves you wanting more. I talked about how it changes you. It impacts your brain. It impacts the chemicals inside of you. And that is true. So as we're talking through this, you might have heard the phrase, like, there's an elephant in the room. I have a fun little example of that. This is what that looks like. That's a room. That's an elephant. right? That's the concept. And so the basic idea is that you think about the elephant in the room, and in your mind, you're sitting in a room with other people, and we're talking about something, and your mind is just sitting in their head. You're thinking about it. Like, I don't know, what about this? What about this? What about that? And you see it, but nobody wants to talk about it. And so tonight, we're going to address the elephant in the room of this conversation. For a couple minutes, we're going to talk specifically about what it means for pornography in your life, right? I would argue, as regular Americans viewing content online in general, are surrounded by versions of pornography that are desensitizing our lives. Let alone all of the other stuff. When you hear that word, you think of, and you're like, yeah, that. You're surrounded by it. You're desensitized to it. Sometimes you might even be in this room going, I don't even know if that's wrong, right? That might be a question in your mind. A couple years ago, I was hanging out with a couple of middle school dudes, and they started passing a phone around. And they're like, look at this chick. Right? They started, and all of a sudden, like, hey, you want to see this? I'm their youth leader at this time. I walk over, like, what the heck? Like, what are you looking at? I was like, what do you mean? This is normal, right? They had no concept that they were objectifying somebody else by choosing to look at other people that way, right? And so there's the thing that culture is doing, make it normal. And for us as followers of Jesus, this is not normal, it's actually harmful and hurtful. And so sometimes this concept, this topic can be awkward to talk about. I promise you throughout the series, we're aiming to not be weird, we're aiming to not be awkward. We're going to cover what the Bible says and stick to those things. And so, the thing that the Bible talks about often in these topics is the concept of shame. As we walk through this, there are some of you that might feel shame of like, oh man, if this is what the Bible says, like, I'm a pretty bad person. And that's not the phrase I want you to hear. That's not the phrase I want you to think. Because there's a difference when you struggle with something from seeing your identity in the struggle, as opposed to seeing you battle struggle and finding your identity in Jesus, with a battle that you have to fight. And that battle means I'm involved in something terrible, now that I'm doing something terrible, and I can change that, I can fight that because I'm a follower of Jesus, not I'm bad. It doesn't define you. If it's defined you, we gotta work on that definition, right? We gotta work past that. And so, in this topic, we're gonna talk a lot about like what it means to see things. But ladies, you have more pressure on you than ever before to create content, right? More and more, you're being told, hey, you have all of these platforms that you can go and make money. All you have to do is just give up a little bit of yourself, right? You're constantly getting pressure to do that. And it's becoming normalized as content creators continue to do that for you, and they set the example, and then they're like, I don't have to work, because this is how I make money. Be very careful to not fall into that trap, right? It's just as dangerous to fall into that trap as it is to be a consumer of those things. And so, for you at any point in this moment tonight, if you go, well, I'm stuck, I don't have hope, I fit this category, I want to challenge you that you can break a pattern in your life, number one. And two, the concept of pornography is addictive, right? And so we're going to watch a video that talks about what it means to have these things change your brain, right? And so we're going to watch a video real fast, and then we're going to come right back up. You go ahead and play that. limited in its look. But the content that it has is totally true. Right? You can find study after study that your brain changes as it engages with these things. And what's really unfortunate is that once upon a time it was something you had to seek out, and now it's put in front of you. Now it's in your shows. Now it starts to rewire you, even in the natural things that you might be willing to watch with your friends. So you may be willing to watch with your parents. And yet it starts to change you and starts to impact you. You start to see others differently because of the things that you have seen. And so the one thing I want to challenge you with and encourage you with is that no matter what, there is freedom available in Jesus. Right? There's not like you're too far gone, you're too broken, you can't ever find hope again. Jesus provides hope in these things. And if you're kind of in the boat of going, I don't really need to be free, I'm fine, I promise you that that is a lie that you're convincing yourself of. Just like somebody who is addicted to something does. It impacts you, it changes you, it impacts the way that you view things and see things and think about life. And so, as we talk about that, I want to challenge you with 4 steps. If you're like, yep, that's me in one way or another. Number 1 is come clean, right? Actually admit it. That's the first step anytime it comes to addiction conversations is come clean to God and say, God, I struggle with this, and I want to be done, and I don't like it, and I don't know how to be done. That's the first step. Actually acknowledge it. Admit that lust is sometimes driving your life in that moment, and you want to rediscover what love looks like and what God's love for you looks like. 2 is get help, right? Don't face a battle alone. There are more accountability groups that I've been a part of that help hold other guys accountable this is the only topic I think that I've been in more accountability groups to help others hold accountable for than any other concept, right? There are guys with anger issues, right? There's a group that I've been in to help them. This one always comes up and is almost always necessary. Why? Because it's so pervasive in our life and it's always around us. It's always a battle and a struggle. You can't beat it alone. You can try. But it won't always work. And so it's almost impossible to actually overcome something by yourself. And so the toughest step isn't actually talking to God about it. The toughest step is talking to somebody else to help you, right? To actually talk to someone and say, I need assistance with this. Have them point you towards Jesus. And so that's called a mentor. That is sometimes your small group leader. There's someone that you can say, hey, I struggle with this, and I'd love you to work with me in this. That's not something that in your small group you probably want to be like, me, right? But like afterwards, go to your small group leader and say, hey, can we chat? Like I'd love to talk to you more about this. I want to challenge you to do that. The next one is embrace God's grace, right? Every time you make a mistake, you'll convince yourself, I'm a terrible person. Just how it works. There's a guilt and a shame that is often tied to these things. God's grace is greater than any weakness you have, any stumbling block that you can have. He is the only one that provides a selfless love to you. So no matter how many times he hurts you, no matter how many times you hurt him by going against what he has for you, his love still pours out to you. He is the source of love for you. And the last one is set up boundaries, right? Actually do something to help protect yourself. Set up boundaries and figure out how to break the rewiring that is in your brain. It's not easy to do, and you need help doing so. The last thing, I want to end with a fun story. Actually, it's a wild story. It's not fun. I don't know, how many of you have heard the name Aaron Ralston before? Has anyone heard that name? No. There was a movie made about this guy in like 2010. This is him. And he loves to climb rocks. He was an accomplished rock climber. And he was climbing through canyons in Utah by himself. And a boulder slipped from above him and fell. And this boulder pinched his arm, like from about here to here, pinched his arm on that boulder and pinned it to the canyon wall. And he was hiking alone. And this guy sat there for 5 days and 5 hours. He spent 127 hours in this canyon, stuck, right? He started to drink his pee to stay alive, hoping that somebody will come along and actually rescue him. But he's in a canyon in the middle of Utah, and he's trying to stay alive. And so he came to the point where he decided, I'm either going to die here, or I'm going to do something extreme to get out. Right? Those were his options. He actually made a video saying goodbye to everybody that he knew. There's a guy saying, I'm stuck, it's been 5 days, like, I'm about to do something crazy and I might never see you again. He took it to that extreme. And then what he did was, and I'll spare you from all like the super nasty details, but he broke his arm, and he cut his arm off, right? It was stuck in a boulder, and he cut it here, and he then climbed out of the canyon, hiked 6 miles until he found a family, which, like, imagine being that family, and you're like, what is coming at me, right? And he ended up getting help and has an arm replacement and still climbs canyons today. Crazy man, right? But he got to the point for his life where he said, I have a choice. This is either going to kill me or I'm going to do something drastic, right? I'm actually going to make a change. And that's a challenge that Jesus actually gives as well. He says this in Matthew 5, 29 to 30. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one part of your body than your whole body, so you throw it into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away, for it is better that you lose one part of your body than your whole body go to hell. Be clear, Jesus is using some hyperbole, right? He's being hyperbolic. And he's saying, hey, be aggressive with the sin that can break you, can harm you, and ultimately destroy you, right? We talk about this as a topic, as something that can truly destroy you in your relationships. That seems like I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. I have seen marriages fall apart because of this specific thing. I've seen people lose jobs because of this specific thing. It is greater than just a little thing. And so he says, hey, be drastic to be better, right? And so maybe for some of you, for a time, a season, maybe you set up a screen time setting on your phone, and you give a person that you trust that password, right? That's a way to be drastic. Maybe you'd be extreme. I actually know 3 different guys over the course of their life that have sold their iPhone and bought a flip phone. I'm not telling you to do that, right? But they took a drastic measure. And they said, this is what it's going to take for this season to break and rewire my brain. And so I know we've talked about some bigger concepts tonight, right? And for some of you, I pray that some of you are in that 15 to 10% range, where you're like, that's not me. I don't struggle with this. I'm good. Praise the Lord. That is amazing. And I do believe those of you who are like, yeah, that's me, right? Just know that the temptation doesn't go away. As a human being, as you continue to get older, the temptation stays, so how can you put boundaries in? Now, for others of you, you're like, yep, that's me, right? You have hope. You're not done. You're not alone in that. You are surrounded by probably 85% of people that would struggle with the same thing. They might just not admit it. So how can we change that 85% and seek Jesus in the process? How can we find a selfless love inside of us instead of objectifying other people? It's about loving others well and caring for others well. And so, the last thing is, remember, lust is selfish. Love is selfless. My prayer for us is that we find a selfless love that we can pour out for other people. That it changes the way that we see people. I'm going to pray for us. I'm actually going to hang out here for a couple minutes afterwards. If this is you and you're like, man, I just need to talk to somebody now, you can skip small group and talk to me. That's fine. If you want to talk afterwards to your leader, myself, I'll be around. Feel free, right? There's no judgment here. We provide grace in these topics. So let me pray for us. Father God, I thank you so much for who you are. God, you have created each and every one in a way that you have said, this is good. God, you love each and every one of us so much, and you've given us a high calling on how we interact with other people because you have created them. You love them. Each and every person in this room, outside of this room, every human on this earth is an image bearer of you. God, I pray that we be able to view other image bearers as just that. As people worthy to be praising you for, not for them, right? God, you are great. You are awesome. God, allow us to be able to treat others with selfless love. God, we thank you so much. Amen.